Hello, Shigi. Hey, Paulus. On my table, I have received a project called the Garden of Calm. Yes. So I would like to ask, what is the Garden of Calm? The Garden of Calm is the future of cemeteries. Together with our team, we have created a solution that will upgrade the cemeteries we have now. We call it the Garden of Calm, but we see it as a cemetery of the 21st century. 100 years ago, mobile phones and cars were different compared to now. Perhaps the phones were with the rotary dials, and the cars. People probably rode horses instead of cars, or the cars were very different from the ones we drive now. Yes, during those 100 years, there were massive changes in our society. However, the cemeteries remain the same. The team and I see the purpose of the Garden of Calm as a needed change for the way the cemeteries are. You are also a part of the team, and we all want to be the change. In other words, in this niche of cemetery solutions, we want to bring change. Understood? I remember when you presented me with this project. Before that, we used to work with completely different things. When you showed me the project, I thought to myself, wow, this is something else. You were one of the first people to join the team in the first stages of the project. You also showed me what this project represents as well as what emotion it brings. Your vibe, I want to be a part of this project, for my team and me was a huge inspiration. Knowing that we are not the only ones who believe in it. After you, more and more people started joining the project. Marketers, architects, construction companies and many more. In other words, this project is so subtle and sensitive. Personally, watching the project develop from a distance is an amazing feeling. We put all of our hearts, feelings, wishes, energy and strength into the project to become reality. As one of the founders, for me, it is an amazing feeling. It is also so fascinating to see that more and more people are feeling the same as I do. So you are getting more and more confirmation that you are going in the right direction. Yes, in a way. Sometimes there are projects where you have to give your maximum energy. You have to put all your strength to succeed. However, this project showed that it can also be done in more harmony, going with the flow. For instance, once we started working together with you, we brought your own emotions and vibes into the project, and you found the first potential buyer. I think that something which cannot be seen is supporting us from above. I am not sure if it is a god, or maybe the universe. Something wants this project to be successful. I do think that the time has come for the cemeteries to evolve. As you said, some things evolve, however, the cemeteries and the culture stay the same. Still, humanity is going towards technological development. Therefore, it is time for the cemeteries to become more developed. The aim of the project is not to become technologically developed, it is only the added value. The most important thing is this project is respect for the deceived ones. Looking at the mud holes in the current cemeteries, where the person is being laid, it does not look good. It would be nicer if respect for the person would be bigger than that. While we are still alive, we all want better food, better car, better phone, all in all, a better life quality. Why don't we want quality and respect after we leave? If we love and respect ourselves now, then we have to bring the same respect and love to the ones we once loved. It shouldn't be like this, that we are only important while we are alive, and after we leave, we can be thrown into a mud hole. I think that the same respect for each other should be present even after the person died. For me, respect for deceived one is the most valuable aspect of the project. A lot of attention is being drawn to how the person and their relatives, which are also very important, will be able to have a clearer and more sustainable connection. So, the main idea of the project is respect for deceased ones as well as the relatives. I had an opportunity to talk to the community representatives of Christians, especially Catholic Christians, about this burial concept. They have agreed that this is the best option possible for the cemeteries. Consequently, they have blessed the project. For the Catholics, the deceased person must be buried with respect and his remains would be held with respect. As you mentioned, currently in the cemeteries, the remains of a person are being buried in the ground, commonly also on the remains of other people. It's disrespectful for either the person who was buried before or the person who is being buried on top. Respect is very important for Christianity. We will tell you more about it later. Overall, Christians support this whole idea, and that's why we already have the support and approval from the community. I would like to also add that when I was talking with the priests and bishops, they liked that the emphasis was put on respect, as well as aesthetics and sustainability. They also like the shape of the ledger, because it is round, so they see it as an infinity, like God. It does not have a beginning nor an end, so does a circle. This was the second reason why they support the idea. The third reason was that the structure of the grave goes down to earth. Therefore, they saw it as a channel between the dead and alive. Coming back to the previous topic, we feel a lot of support from a religious aspect and a certain vibe that we wanted to spread. This video aims to, in my opinion, to what we want to translate for the people who are watching, so they could feel the same way as we are feeling. Also, for the people to be able to express their opinions, criticism and suggestions. If somebody feels the same vibe or an internal push to do so, and to be able to share. So, the main aim of the video is to show the people the project, and if they are interested, join the team as well and share their ideas and opinions with us. One of the most interesting aspects of the garden is that relief was formed with the help of nature and not humans. The architects were searching for something that naturally spreads calmness in nature. Finally, it was decided that the water does influence anything, thus it is calm. The second is the light, which spreads calmness without anything influencing it. Lastly, the sound is calming as well. So research was done. The idea behind the research arose from Nikola Tesla's words. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency and vibration. The architects used the idea for an experiment. A speaker was attached under a bowl of water, and the bowl was enlightened with a light. So all three elements were present. The speaker was playing a different kinds of sounds. In our wonder, the water started waving and with different frequencies. The waves were changing. And it is not a random painting which is made of water. It is a very harmonic and dynamic painting. So we created over 100 drawings of the waves, and you can choose the drawing you want. Based on that, relief will be created. I would also like to add that there is no limit to how many drawings you can make. Therefore, all the cemeteries can have the same idea. However, the layout can differ. For instance, our potential client in Poland chooses a piece of land on which she wants to build a cemetery, takes some water from the land, and formulates the drawing. In the drawing, you can add the path and all the other needed elements. Therefore, the relief and the feeling of the cemetery are formulated with the help of nature. The architects were not the ones who drew the painting? No. In this case, they were creative and let nature make decisions for them. The architects were the ones who put the needed elements in place. It is also worth mentioning that our team found an equivalent for those hills. In other words, the relief that we created. The old cemeteries in the Baltic and European countries look the same as the ones we have formed. This is very funny to me, because it seems that we are going towards the future, but in the same way, we are also going back to the past. So the reliefs we have created look alike to the way people used to be buried in the past. Of course, now everything is a little bit more subtle and prettier. However, the idea we had was very accidental. Maybe from the stars or something, but the result is very similar. In essence, the main idea is the whole structure where the urns are kept, right? Here, I can tell you more about it. the way I see it, the main purpose of the cemetery is the four elements. The first one is the one I already talked about, that with the help of nature, relief was created. So the spirit of the cemetery is going to be formulated by nature. The second element is the structure of the grave. It is the circle, probably made out of glass, and the grave structure that is going deep into the ground. Into the grave structure, the urns will be placed. Into one structure, depending on the soil, even 18 and more urns can fit. You can buy your whole family in there. Yes, for me personally, this is one of the most important aspects. That under one of the balls, your whole family can fit. You buy one of the balls, you own the whole grave structure where you wanted it to be based on your intuition, and you solve a problem for the whole family. Not only for yourself, but probably for a couple of generations down the line. The third aspect in this minimalistic grave structure would save space. To a relatively small piece of land, you can put a lot of those graves. For instance, into a 4-hectare land, depending on the density you choose, you can put around 30,000 grave structures. Of course, even more will go into the ground. Those cemeteries are solving a space issue in countries. The fourth aspect is that on the bubbles, nothing is mentioned. There are no names, there are no surnames, all of them are the same. But to keep the biography of a person, in the bubble or near the bubble would be something similar to a QR code, which you would be able to scan and see a virtual museum. Will a person be able to look only their family's history or also on somebody else's? We have not decided yet. Since the creative works are taking place right now, we are also doing interviews to see if they would or would not want that. But the main idea is that it is going to be the place where the story of the person is going to be saved. Now, there is a problem that, for instance, my grandmothers are dead and I have never seen them and I don't know anything about them. I only heard some stories from my parents and saw a couple of pictures, but I don't have anything saved from them. So this could be a solution for saving a person's remembrance. This could look something like Instagram or Facebook. Once a person dies, his family gets a login to an account where they could post videos, photos, biography, and create a family tree. In other words, the whole garden is a visual museum. So for example, our grandchildren could see us, who we were, what we did, and other things. In this way, a family tree can be drawn, and the remembrance of the deceased one stays forever. Everybody is used to having big titles on the gravestones, but now you're suggesting a concept with a QR code instead of the big title. However, for some people it is a little bit strange. That's why we are trying to get them used to it slowly. Some people are still questioning the decision about the bubbles instead of gravestones. However, in my opinion, the big gravestones would not fit with the whole concept. But we are still working a lot on this aspect. I could present my spiritual view on the issue, a deeper and more subtle one. The answer to why nothing is written in the garden is that after a death we are all the same. No matter if you're young or old, if you're rich or poor, after our death we all end up in the same place. The end is the same for everybody. So to keep the integrity, and all the bubbles have to be the same. If I was rich, my gravestone would probably be very big. If I would be poor, my grave place would probably be neglected. After death, respect is the same for everybody. No matter if you were young, or rich, or pretty, or whatever you were, after a death, we are all the same. Like you said, in the eyes of God or the universe, we are all the same. Yes, but because we are all doing something we want to be proud of. The decision to integrate the QR codes was taken. In this way, we will be able to show our lives to our relatives. We see very big importance in this aspect. Because the written name and the date of birth and death do not tell enough information about the person. Wouldn't you like to know a little bit more about the person? For instance, what the person used to do in the past? I think if you would have the technology now, we would all go to the cemeteries to learn more about our relatives. I would probably stay the whole day at the cemeteries to see who did what. Yes, it would be a very interesting experience, like a movie. For instance, on your Facebook, you share your travels and stuff, right? Yes. So this could look something like that as well. I think this would be the perfect inheritance for the next generations. If I have bought the whole grave structure, would I be able to see everybody's stories or not? We are currently working on finding an answer to this question. We are questioning people to see how would they react in one or another situation. We are searching for those answers. I think we will find a solution which will be acceptable to everybody. If I would have to say straight away, I think there should be an opportunity for every person to come and see it. That is what I think. But if people are going to say they don't want it, only the relatives gonna be able to see it. I think once the decision will be taken, the relatives will be able to see the pictures of the deceased one and thus remember them better. In this way, you could feel more connected. The person is not there anymore, but the memory will stay forever. If the memory disappears, then the person is also not there anymore. Like the priest said, you feel closer to the deceased person because of the memories you keep. The memories can fade over time, however, if you come back to the cemetery and take a look at the pictures and videos, the memories come back. Also, during death anniversaries, the bubble will play music or tell the story, or is lit? Yes, there is no definite decision yet. For instance, there is going to be an application for the cemetery garden in which you will be able to find your bubble in the cemetery. Therefore, the bubble will most likely have a color switch. For example, on the application you will select the date of death, and on that date the bubble will change color. Coming back to the opinion of the religious people, it will be like a bridge between the alive and dead ones. Another option is that during one of the anniversaries, a drone would fly over the bubble and would light it up or play a song. This is a thought for the future. Maybe you will be able to watch the bubble from a camera view. Interesting option. There are also other possible solutions. For instance, for elderly people. Once an older person approaches the cemetery administration, they receive a mobile chair. The chair would be easily attached to the paths of the garden, and the person would be able to sit in peace comfortably. The paths are floating over the land as a respect for the deceased ones, so that the visitors would not walk over them. Current cemeteries demand a lot of care. You either have to hire a company or ask for a friend to take care of the grave or go fix it yourself, which takes a lot of time, and you come to take care of the grave instead of spending time with the deceased one. So instead of remembrance and communicating, you have to clean. The garden we are working on removes the responsibility of cleaning and tidying up. The representatives of the cemetery clean and takes care of the whole area for a small fee. The grass will be cut, the bubbles will be cleaned, and the maximum respect and aesthetic will be kept. In other words, you would not have to go from another city to clean the cemetery, because you know that it is already taken care of. Once you come to the cemetery, you can spend quality time together with the deceased one. Once you come to the bubble, you bring flowers or candles, and you can leave them without worrying about having to come back and clean them. So the next day or the day after, the bubbles are cleaned. Because currently everybody leaves things at the cemetery and it becomes trash. I would also like to add my point of view regarding flowers. Flowers are amazing and beautiful, but once the person is buried and everybody brings flowers, after 2 or 3 days they rot. Where is the respect for the deceased one? Laying down under the rot? Our mission is to present the concept of our cemeteries to the whole world, so that as the time goes on, each city would have this type of cemetery. To do this, as for everything else, we need money. Talking about our company, the primary strategy is to do it by franchising. This means that we create a concept and investors can buy the franchise and build the cemetery in other cities and countries. Talking about the customer, the price of the grave structure in Lithuania is around 5,000 euros. So, the grave structure and the places to put the urns in, let's call it an opportunity to have a place in the garden. So the price is around 5,000 euros. Looking at the prices of current cemeteries, the granite rocks, gravestones and burial costs quite a lot of money. It could be 2,000, 5,000 or something like that. Sometimes even 20,000 from what I have seen. Yes, it depends on the level of luxury you want. An economical solution would be around a couple of thousand euros. and the more luxurious one could be 20,000 euros. So in the case of this project, once you buy the whole grave structure for 5,000 euros, you can bury the whole family in there. Therefore, the financial aspect for a consumer is way cheaper compared to the traditional grave. You pay one price, and you have the opportunity to get buried here. The price of the urn would be around 500 euros. Also, cleaning and taking care of the grave would cost around 80 euros per month. Therefore, the cemetery is the most respectful as well as economically the best solution for the customer. The way I see it is that the grave structure can be used for the whole family. Thus, the family can split the costs between each other. We are also communicating with insurance companies. There is already an opportunity for the insurance to cover cremation expenses. We also wanted to cover the expenses of being buried in the cemetery. The price of the construction of the garden is quite dependent on the size of the cemetery. If it is going to be constructed on a 4-hectare land, then the price is smaller. If it is going to be constructed on a 10-hectare land, then the price is bigger. As I already mentioned, multiple grave structures can fit on the land. This means that the investment costs of constructing the cemetery can be collected rather quickly. Financially, the numbers are very strong. Yes, 40,000 times 5,000 is not hard to calculate. Yes, the numbers are the way they are. The only question is how long is it going to take for the cemeteries to fill in. This depends on communication and marketing. We are currently gathering information on how people are perceiving this idea regarding the prices and everything else. This is also one of the aims of the video. The numbers of deaths are very different. In Lithuania, around 40 to 50,000 people die per year. Of those, around 40% choose cremation. In other countries, the numbers are of course more significant. In Poland, around 500,000 people die per year and around 40% of people choose cremation. I was the most surprised by the statistics of Japan. In Japan, around 1.3 million citizens die and 99% of them chooses cremation. 99%? Yes. And the main reason for it is the issue of space. Due to Japan being an island, they don't have a lot of space. They mostly put the urns on top of each other. However, using our cemeteries, it could go into the ground without taking up too much space. They don't have any space for coffins, thus the citizens choose to be cremated to save space. Based on multiple research after how much time the cemeteries would be full, we can calculate how many people die per year, how many choose cremation. Based on statistics, it is possible to calculate the percentage of people who might choose this cemetery. If people are going to realize that this is the most economically efficient way of solving the issue, then they will buy the grave structure relatively quickly. Because the person does not have to die before purchasing this product. It can be an investment for the future. Talking about the marketing, for instance in Poland, we think that in a year, looking carefully and not being greedy, one garden can sell around 5,000 graves per year. And the number to rise by 20% each year. So per year, it would be around 2% of deceived ones who would choose the cemetery. This number is not from the people who choose to be cremated, but from all the deaths, right? Yes, from all the deaths. I do not refuse the idea that the cemetery could increase the number of people who choose to be cremated in the future, because currently there is no alternative. It is either you get cremated or you get buried. And this could be alternative for the people who see the value in this and understand what we are trying to communicate. I think there is going to be a relatively big number of those people. Also, taking care of the cemetery is a very big plus. We researched to see how much it costs to buy the service of taking care of the grave. It is around 30 euros, right? Yes. It also depends on what you want. In our case, the price is 8 euros and the person does not have to take care of it. In the first scenario, you get pictures of the clean grave. However, you also have to worry about it, if they have cleaned it well, and it also costs a lot more. If you're asking for your friends or family to take care of the grave, you're putting a big responsibility on their shoulders. However, our garden solves this issue. We did research using focus groups and we found out that the current cemeteries do not provide a lot of wish to walk around and spend time there. Well, except during the Day of the Dead with all the lights. Yes, Besides the tradition and stuff, you come to the cemetery and the feeling in there is rather oppressive. So it would be nicer if the feeling would be more uplifting rather than oppressive. That is how the name was born as well, right? Yes, that is what we are calling it in Lithuania. However, we are not sure what it is going to be called internationally. We will see later. But in a way, it is still going to stay the Garden of Calm. That is the idea. The cemetery of 21st century, the Garden of Calm. The product was created by you. It was patented. And what exactly was patented? Two aspects were patented. The first one is the structure of the grave. So the whole grave from the top to the bottom. Also, the creation of relief, the one I talked about before. The way the water moves and creates shapes. So those two things are patented. Also, currently another aspect is being created, which is also going to be patented for the patent to be strengthened. Is the franchise completed already? Yes, the franchise structure is already created for the frame and stuff. Now we are going towards the second step, where the sales strategy is being created. Thus, we will start proposing the cemetery for other countries to buy. So, the franchise buyers will become the family members of the project. So for instance, the potential buyer in Poland. Yes, once you purchase the product, we start working with the client, distributing the cemeteries in Poland as well as other countries. Thus, we become one organization that distributes this cemetery. The way I understand it, once the potential buyer comes, we talk with them to see if we share the same value and feelings towards the project. This means that we do not accept everybody as our family members. Of course, big attention is drawn to see if the buyer is a suitable fit. During the meeting we ask questions about the family situation, if the person has a family as well as the deeper aspects of the person. This helps us to get to know the person better and see if we are feeling the same towards the project. The second aspect is to see if the person is smart enough and capable of creating this garden. It is not an easy task. Every country has different regulations towards cemeteries. For example, in Lithuania there is one kind of regulation, but Poland and France are different. Thus, the buyer has to find ways how to make the project work. Yes, we are providing the path of how to build this project. Once a buyer comes along and we see that he is the right fit, then we can move on to another stages. Then our team members communicate with their team members in terms of laws, architecture, constructors and others to create the project. This is how cooperation will work. It is not like the buyer buys the franchise and has to do everything himself. No, our main goal is to share this idea and we want to create as many cemeteries as possible in the near future. Zhigi, what other channels do you want to use to spread this message about the cemetery? Looking from the business perspective side, we see this project as a synergy for other businesses. For instance, crematoriums could be our distribution channels and together with us gain profit. This is because they're already cremating people, so for them to have the option to bury people could be a business opportunity. We could provide them with a special price for the option of burying the people in our gardens. Another distribution partner could be current companies that provide funeral services or other businesses which are taking care of the burying services. In short, all the businesses that work with deceased people could be our distribution partners. I would also like to add that the whole process of the burying is quite respectful and aesthetic. Once the bubble is removed, a space like a hole opens up. Into the hole, the urn or capsule from the crematorium is placed into the hole. On the day of the funeral, the administration of the garden places a small construction near the hole. The construction holds the flowers or something and the urn is placed nicely into the hole. This is what the funeral could look like. Of course, people are used to bringing flowers, candles and other traditional elements. Therefore, near the grave structure, another structure is being placed, where all the flowers and lights can be placed. After a couple of days, the administration has the right to throw away the flowers to avoid the rotting process. About the construction of the garden, are the paths going to be lightened? Yes, the lights will most likely be placed under the paths and on top. On top of the path, the lights will be placed vertically, which will also spread tiny water drops. Kids love to play with those. I also liked it. Therefore, there would be lights from the bottom as well as from the top of the path. So the grave structure is going to be made out of steel? Yes, probably from stainless steel. And a bubble, made from glass or steel. Regarding the bubble, we are currently thinking about the glass one. However, we also don't deny an opportunity of letting people choose. For instance, made from glass, marble, granite, or anything else. The form will stay the same, but maybe we'll be able to choose the color and the material of the bubble. We have not decided yet. For now, we imagine it being made out of glass. Still, the color palette should probably be limited, right? Yes, so that it is more or less similar. We also talked about aesthetics and other things. Yes, so the harmony can be felt and that it would be nice to come there. Well, I do not have any questions for you. It was very nice talking to you. Thank you for your questions as well as the people who are watching. You would be very thankful if you could share your opinion about the cemetery. It is very important and beneficial for us at this stage. I also think that it should be very interesting for you to join this project. Thank you and see you next time. Goodbye.